it's a great time for us to go ahead and give this puppy a review. Now, I totally understand that I don't play every single mode under the sun, so obviously take this with a grain of salt based on how you want to deduce it. But basically the way I look at it is based on gameplay elements and the way well, everything flows and the nature of value for money. All that stuff is essentially going to be thrown into this. So even though I don't play franchise mode and all this other stuff, I do still feel like the gameplay from mode to mode is going to be relatively the same, obviously minus the ability of controlling multiple players, depending if you're just doing a quick game or whatever the case would be. So just going into this, understand that yes, I've done the superstar career mode, and but I have a general idea, a pretty good idea of how the game is playing so far. So obviously, Madden NFL, they made a few changes to the game. Not a whole lot since past years, but they have made some changes to the career mode. I will start that off. So there's a few more things that you can access, but more or less, we're pretty familiar with what Madden is up to and what we're to expect at this point. Now, one thing I want to get into first, I want to talk about what I do like about this game. So I do want to say those changes are nice, but I will say about that is while the changes like adding, more coach relations and having brand deals and having discussions, that has been around for college ball, and it's not exactly new. It's been in Madden games and NCAA games, over 10 years ago. So we've seen that before. It's just that they brought it back. So the fact that removing things to resell them to us down the line is kind of greasy, but nonetheless, I do like that it is in this game, and I think it adds a little bit more of a layer of realism to the game and the gameplay itself. I will say the game, when it does work as intended, it is quite fluid. It's quite well done. The game itself handles more or less pretty good 9 times out of 10. I will say, like, everything is kind of as it should be for a lot of circumstances. Obviously, there's also a lot of circumstances where it does not, but I feel like there are elements of the realism. You could definitely feel it going into this, and it does feel like a game that you want to keep playing. There's the drive. The game gives you that feeling that you want to keep playing it, and you want to, just push forward despite running into whatever obstacle you might run into. Now, with that being said, that kind of is pretty much where it ends, because I feel like the bad is going to outweigh the good, or pretty close, break it even at this point. So let's talk about what I didn't like about the game. Well, to be honest, this game has not really changed much, really, if you really look beneath the surface as other games. And here's the thing that's crazy about EA Sports games is that you can go you don't even have to be you don't have to be in the same sport. You can do inter-sport, and it can be completely different. So the problems that persist in, say, a Madden game are also consistent and prevalent in a NHL game, or an EA Sports FC game. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter what sport you're playing, you will encounter the exact same jank issues that you will encounter in whatever game you're playing. So the fact that they're all across the board and they're not being changed across each franchise is absolutely insane. Like, I cannot tell you how annoying it is to just move and get stuck. It almost feels like your character is constantly drifting and slipping, if that makes sense. So, like, it's almost like there's this massive, I understand human beings aren't going to run perfectly, but at the same time, they're not going to slip through a spot. And depending where you put the stick, if you're slightly off on the stick and where you're putting your stick, you're going to end up running into your teammate, get stuck on like a foot, just a single foot, and you'll just start running in place when you have a clear opening or something like that. You know what I mean? There's always something that seems to make movement a little bit irritating. Certain things do work. Like I said, I found some exploits to help me get up the field faster and more efficiently. But for the most part, the game does have the issue where you're trying to break free from a defender or your own teammate or just an obstacle in general, and you end up getting stuck on it no matter where you put it. So you could hit it as soon as you hit that obstacle. Now you're stuck on it. The play is pretty much throwaway unless, or it's not going to move anywhere or whatever the case is. So there's a lot of situations where you run into things and it's just, it makes it impossible to make any movement. It just feels super I don't know, out of date. It feels like something that I would encounter on an old game. And I will say, EA Sports games from a few years ago never had this problem. I think it became noticeable in the 24 era. I think when 24 games, so the last, I guess, 3 games, I've noticed it be coming in across all the, across the board. Doesn't matter, like I said, which sport you're playing. It's the same across all of them. So the fact that that's still in there and you keep noticing it is a massive deterrent, and it's frustrating to deal with. Obviously, I do appreciate them adding, the new modes and all that, like, the heavy rain, the snow, what have you. However, it doesn't work as intended. The rain is one thing, but the snow is completely busted. I don't care who you are, what game you're watching. This isn't Pee Wee football. Nobody is fumbling the ball in the NFL like 25 times a game. No one's fumbling that many times. You know what I mean? Like, I understand you might increase the chance and you might slip, which will cause a fumble. There's going to be things like that, but just basic tackles, you're not going to drop the ball every single time, to the point where I am worried that, okay, I can't even do a run play, which is the kind of play you're actually supposed to do in heavy snowfall games, because you can't really see down the field to make a clear pass because there's so much snow. So typically you run the ball at that time, but now running the ball is going to actually be more of a concern for you going, forward. So you have to pass the ball in heavy snow games. So people are arguing, saying, oh, they're just trying to make the game more realistic. You got to stop. You got to get off the EA dick. I'm serious, because that does not help us, because I am all for maybe an increased challenge based on realistic circumstances like heavy rain or heavy snow, but it has to work. If it goes too far the other direction, it just makes the game unplayable, and your skill in a game is completely irrelevant at that point, because you could be doing everything right and your player will fumble the ball, or someone's going to fumble the ball, and no matter what happens, you're still going to get the same sim cheese. So they're never going to mess up, and your players will always mess up. Doesn't matter what happens. Same thing happens in NHL. I'm sorry, NHL is the easiest one to directly reference into, but for example, like how ever since they changed the hit mechanics of the game in the last couple of NHL games to come out, how easy is it to get hits, but also how easy is it to get penalties as well? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you get way more hits, and it just seems unrealistic. Even on the higher difficulties, you're getting a ton of hits per game, 1,000 per season kind of thing. It just becomes unrealistic. They add a new feature, and it ruins the realism of something else. And that's what is exactly happening here. Just like they changed the hit mechanics, they changed the weather mechanics, which actually ruined or broke something else in the programming, which is all from older games anyway. They're not developing a brand new system every time they release a game. They just modify the existing one. So obviously, with their attempt to add stuff, it just breaks other things, and it makes the game less enjoyable, more unplayable. I'm totally fine with playing in snow. I just wish they would tweak that so it could actually fix it and be more realistic. But an EA Sports game is supposed to be a sports sim, but they end up not being it because they're so comical and easy to exploit, or the other direction. So not much has changed from this game to past games, despite them saying so. And the fact that the price tag is so insanely high, guys, this is just insane. You should not buy this game right now. What I would recommend, if you're not like me, since I'm a creator, it's my job to play games as they come out to help you make these decisions. But if I were you guys, I would always never buy the new sports game, and maybe buy the previous year's or the year before that. That is, especially when it comes to EA Sports, because you can usually get them for relatively cheap once the new one comes out. Now, obviously, some games are available on things like Game Pass and things like that, then by all means play them with that. But a lot of times, they don't let that happen, and if there was a game, like the previous game ends up coming to Game Pass, they remove it right before the new one comes out so they can force you to buy it. So, yeah, in terms of gameplay, like I said, there's not much more to say other than the fact that without going to every single specifics, the game is it's just exactly the same from year to year. They make a change which breaks the programming, and it just makes the game frustrating, and it's just not worth it. And obviously, like in that Super Bowl, there's completely BS calls that keep happening. Like my tight end was in the end zone by a huge margin, had the ball in his possession. He wasn't gathering anything. He didn't fumble it or jumble it or anything like that. He had it, and he was walking, like strutting, like a celebratory kind of a walk as he walked towards the end zone, and they claimed like he didn't have possession during that little strut that he did. And they look at his foot, and because his foot kind of stopped on the line, they called it back, and they said that was not a touchdown, which immediately made switched the programming, and all of a sudden my quarterback was throwing incomplete passes. Everyone was dropping the ball, even though they were wide open, and it just seems scripted, and it just makes you feel like, why am I bothering? And you'll get that feeling throughout, and it doesn't matter which EA Sports game you're playing. That is the case with it. To be honest, any sports game nowadays is scripted in some manner. 2K, I talked about the 2K cheese. EA's got the EA. It's more like an EA mold. I wouldn't say it's just cheese. It's like moldy cheese. It's worse. You know what I mean? EA, like, I feel like you can eventually get around the 2K cheese, but the EA cheese, brutal, man, brutal. So obviously, with all that being said, to summarize, while there are new features and things that I do like that they're adding to the game, it's still fun to want to push through and upgrade your player and, you know, win the Super Bowl, win a championship, and all that. It is still really frustrating that they keep giving you the same relative game that, or recycling old things that were old features that were in the games from yesteryear. They remove them for a decade, bring them back, and they're like, oh look, it's all brand new, or they add a new feature that ruins it. So despite that and the programming and all that kind of stuff, the best I can really give this game right now in this current setting, honestly, it's definitely not average, because average would mean everything works as intended for like, you know, consistently, and it's not. While I did say that was a benefit, like the gameplay does work, I'd say some of the time. The fact that that's a positive kind of says things all. But I'm not gonna be able to even give this a mediocre, like a mid of the pack. It'll have to be lower than that. Again, it's not shit. I want you to understand, but because of the price point, I think it would be pretty along the mediocre scoring line. But because of the price point and the fact that I think the base edition's like, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know if it's deluxe. I think the base edition is $100, and then the deluxe edition is 120 US, American dollars, freedom units. So from what I understand, to get the base version of this game, I'm pretty sure it's like 120 Canadian, 150 for the deluxe, which is crazy. Yeah, like you'd have to be, you know what would make more sense? Chopping your dick off and eating it in a salad. That would make way more sense than spending that much money on another Madden game. It's just not, it's not appropriate. If I'm overshooting it, even then, I think it's pretty close. I think it's like 90 US maybe. 90, 100, I'm not sure. I'll have to double check, but I know it's really, really up there. So there you have it. Not worth the price. So with that being said, I'm going to give this game a 4.5 out of 10. It does have potential, obviously, but the EA cheese and the greediness from this corporation is just absolutely insane, and I cannot recommend this game. If you don't have Madden 25, just get Madden, and you really want to play Madden, just get Madden 25, or just don't. Or don't buy this year's and wait till next year's. If you want the features of this game because they brought some back, just wait until next year and until Madden 27 comes out, and then pick up Madden 26. I always say that's the best thing you can do. So with these sports games, if you can afford to wait, if it doesn't bother you that much, you maybe want to get into it down the line, just think of buying the previous generation. I will say that till the day I die about EA Sports games. Not necessarily with 2K games, but with the EA Sports games, every single time, that is a no-brainer. And you know what's funny about, just, I know this, again, I keep going back to NHL, but NHL, the funny thing about NHL is I will always, like this entire time, I always tell people to buy NHL 21 or 22 because they were the same game for the last 5 years, basically. So NHL's 21 to 25 have all been exactly the same across the board, like literally copy paste. And I actually think 21 and 22 are the most reliable, because I think it was 23 that they added that new hitting mechanic, which ruined the gameplay, which made it really stupid, and you were getting penalties and bumping into people and stuff. Like, I think 22 is probably the sweet spot if you have to get the pricey pond hockey. You know what I mean? It's the same kind of situation with Madden. I feel like there is a sweet spot with Madden, but I honestly don't know where it is just yet, because I've only played a few of the games for the channel in the last few years. So a few more years, I'll keep playing it. That's the thing, is I do have EA Play Pro, so I'm not actually buying these games. I'm just more or less renting them long term, so I can at least give you the full experience of the game without purchasing it full price. I'm still giving EA my money, but I do it so you don't have to. That's the way we do it, okay? Anyway, there you have it, guys. That's going to be it for me today. I hope you enjoyed the series, and I hope you enjoyed the streams. If you did, be sure to leave a like, comment your thoughts below, subscribe if you're new, and make sure those post notifications are turned on with the bell icon so you don't miss anything that I put out here on the channel. Be sure to like and follow my social pages, Facebook, X, Instagram, Snapchat, and Discord. Those are all linked in the description. If you want to get yourself a shirt or hoodie of mine, there's a link in the description for that. Also an embedded feature below the stream/video. video. You'll see some previewed items there, but ultimately just go to the website for the full range of products and customization options. Big shout out to the sponsors, DX Racer, Bones Coffee, The Ridge Wallet, Matter Habit Tattoo. I use their products daily. Check them out for yourselves with the links in the description. Be sure to use my promo code DANQ8000 to save at checkout with those guys. If you guys want to send something to my P.O. Box, the address for it is in the description. Check it out if you want to send something my way. Anything that gets sent to that P.O. Box, I will open it in a social post or in a live stream, whatever makes more sense depending on what's sent. Finally, be sure to check out and sign up for the Team 8000 membership program if you haven't done so yet. It supports the page immensely. 4 tier levels, 4 price points. The first tier is just 99 cents, cheap and easy to get into the program. However, across the other tiers, you'll get things like custom badges by your name, custom emojis used in chat, exclusive video stream access, priority in open lobbies, giveaways, discounts, and plenty more. Working our way back towards 400 members, which is awesome. We've been collecting quite a few over the last little bit, so I'd love to keep that rolling. If you guys want to help us get there, support the channel while you're doing it, and of course, getting some cool perks. You can join that with the link in the description. There's a join button below the stream, also a section on my main channel page as well. If you guys want to gift members, send super chats or super thanks, you can do those. Right next to chat, you'll see that $sign. Click it, you'll get a drop down. If you're gifting, just keep in mind you can gift 1 to 50 members in a single transaction. Ultimately, you can gift as many as you want through multiple transactions, all right? Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and hopefully we catch you in the next one for some more content, all right? We'll see you then, guys. Take care. Peace.
Who's the man with the plan? If you feel trouble wildin' wild on these violent and hit you 8,000. Wait a minute, hold that style is dialed in. Goddamn Billy Jack, we still riding tires flat. I hear them sirens, see shots flying, so we driving fire back. If they ain't vibing, lie with that. Got me dressed up in all black. What up? Hood up and I see them haters try to run with us. They gon' need inhalers. Gotta breathe them hard just like Darth Vader. Players grab your respirators. Night invaders get lightsabered. Mask on for the shooters. Move like trash to bed intruder. Got that Glock and got them woofers. Just press play, I'll keep it moving. Who is not still you damn fools? Keep it fresh like canned food. There ain't nothing we can't do, so tune into that damn Q. Yeah. It was never, ever a game.